Going to the corn maze every fall right around the end of October is a family tradition for me. My parents started taking me and my two sisters when we were children, and one day when I have kids, I plan to do the same with them. Mom and Dad are getting older now, so they stopped going a few years ago, but every October I wait in anticipation for that phone call from one of my sisters, calling to set a date for us all to go. And this year, 3 of my friends are coming up from Florida to visit me for Halloween, so they'll be going with us. Elijah, Haley, and Roxanne are my dearest friends on the planet. Once they told me they were coming, I spent weeks eagerly anticipating their impending arrival and scheming up activities for us all to do together. Fall, in my opinion, is the best time of year to visit upstate New York. That's when the leaves spark into 1,000 wild shades of yellows and reds. Set against the canopied expanse of a clear blue sky and the rolling Adirondack Mountains, there's just something about New York in the fall. It makes me want to go out and buy some pumpkins. Visions of a pumpkin walnut pancake brunch danced in my head. Apple picking, cider drinking, and hiking in the crisp autumn air were all on my to-do list. But the one thing that I was looking forward to the most was getting to hand out candy to little wand-waving Elsas and sword-wielding Ninja Turtles on Halloween night. It's my first Halloween as a homeowner, and my boyfriend Jonas and I are determined to make a name for ourselves as the best candy house in our neighborhood. Our house may be the smallest on the block, but we have Reese's and Kit Kats. My friends fly in the morning of Halloween, and Jonas and I drive an hour to pick them up from the airport. We only get to see each other twice a year, once in the summer when I fly down to Florida, and then again in the fall or winter when they fly up to New York. Once we arrive at the airport, I scan the plasma screens of arrival and departure times on the wall. The airport is jam-packed. A massive amount of people are lined up at the check-in desk with suitcases and baggage. I see that their plane arrived about 20 minutes ago, so I make my way through the sea of people over to the arrivals lounge. Memories from my childhood flood my mind when I glance at the stairs leading up to the viewing deck, where a bunch of eager children stand watching and waiting for the airplanes to take off and land. A few of them are doing the same thing that me and my sisters used to do when we were younger, fighting over who's going to get a turn to look through the mounted telescopes next. Just as I pull out my cell phone to call Haley, I hear the faint sound of someone calling my name behind me. I turn around and a huge smile spreads across my face as the 3 of them rush over and bombard me with hugs. After we say our hellos, then we stroll through the airport to the front entrance where Jonas is waiting. He and Elijah load the luggage into the trunk while me, Haley, and Roxanne slide into the back seat. On the ride home, we chit-chat about what we've been up to since the last time we saw each other back in July. Haley recently got a promotion. Instead of a teller, she's now assistant manager at the bank she works at. Roxanne and Elijah just celebrated their 5-year wedding anniversary last month. They had a huge anniversary party. I wish I could have been there, but I was unable to make it. I've already seen all of the pictures because Roxanne posted them online, but she proceeds to pull out her phone and show them to me again anyway, telling me all about it. Then she drops a bombshell on me. I have something to tell you and Haley. I wanted to wait until we were all together to tell you guys. Just spill it, Haley begs. I'm pregnant. That's great, I answer. Yeah, I mean, it's completely unexpected. We weren't even trying yet, but we knew we wanted to have kids eventually, so I guess now is as good a time as any. I congratulate Elijah and then give them both a hug. Then the moment I was dreading comes. When do you guys plan on starting a family? Roxanne asks. I would love for our kids to grow up together and be best friends just like we all are. I want to tell her that I would love nothing more than that as well. But the truth is that Jonas and I thought we were pregnant twice already, and both times I had a miscarriage, so now I'm afraid to even try again. I haven't told anyone, not even my parents. Jonas and I are the only 2 that know about it besides my doctor. Roxanne's voice interrupts my thoughts. Earth to Maya, did you hear me? I smile and reply, yeah, soon. We're going to start a family real soon. My answer appeases her, and she's all smiles after that. This would have been the perfect opportunity to tell them all, but I just couldn't. I don't want them to feel sorry for me, and then the rest of the time they're here, everyone is in a sad and gloomy mood. We stop by their hotel first so that Roxanne and Elijah can check in, and then we head to my place. There isn't enough room for all three of them at my quaint 2-bedroom house, so just Haley will be staying with Jonas and I. When we pull up in front of my place, Jonas helps Haley with their bags, and then I show everyone around the house, which doesn't take long. Like I said, it's just a small but comfortable 2-bedroom. It's a fixer-upper, but it has tons of potential, which is what made us fall in love with it in the first place. After they take a look around, we order some Chinese, and while we're waiting for it to arrive, we all gather around the fireplace, steadily working our way through a bottle of Merlot, when Haley suggests that we watch a scary movie tonight. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been a fan of scary movies. I see no point at all in being intentionally scared. I believe that real life is horrifying enough as it is. The last scary movie I watched gave me night terrors. Watching an exorcism being performed on a possessed being by a Catholic priest is not my idea of fun. Glancing over at Roxanne, it's clear to me that we're on the same page. With fire flashing from her terrified eyes, she vehemently refuses. Candy and Merlot? Yes. Scary horror movie? No thank you. I chime in and back her up, telling everyone that I don't want to watch a scary movie either. But Haley argues, claiming that a Halloween without being scared isn't really Halloween at all. Then Elijah suggests, what about a haunted corn maze instead? I tell them that I already made plans for us to go to a corn maze with my sisters over the weekend. He replies, we could still do that too, but I heard about a haunted one about 40 minutes from here. I think it would be cool to try. Since everyone else is so adamant about going out to do something tonight, Roxanne and I compromise and agree that a haunted corn maze would be less terrifying for us than watching a scary movie. So after we eat dinner, I Google this place that Elijah says he heard about and find out that it also has a haunted hayride, which sounds pretty cool. The only thing still deterring me from going is the fact that it's called Killers in the Corn Maze. Clearly, that does not inspire a lot of confidence in me. So instead of just hanging out and handing out candy to trick-or-treaters like I had originally planned, we get ready to go to this haunted corn maze. I guess Jonas and I will have to wait until next year to make a name for ourselves as the best candy house in the neighborhood. We make the drive out there, and once we arrive on the scene, we're greeted by a grunting zombie lifelessly dragging his club around behind him, and a bloodied nurse with a crazed look in her eyes and a rather disconcerting trail of blood oozing from the corner of her mouth. Roxanne scurries away from us and rushes over to the porta potties nearby. She claims the baby was pushing on her bladder, but I think she was determined not to wet herself in fear. Does that even happen when you're only a few months along? I thought the baby didn't start pushing on your bladder until later in the pregnancy. Anyways, no sooner had she closed the plastic door behind her when the club-dragging zombie stumbles over and begins to groan and viciously beat the wall we're standing in front of with his stick. Jonas, Haley, and Elijah double over in uncontrollable laughter as I shriek and run for my life. I decide right then and there that the $15 that I just paid to get in was not worth it. After everyone catches up with me, we are unceremoniously loaded onto a rickety wagon and driven down a long, dark path, then dropped off with another group of people at the entrance to the corn maze. The color drains from my face as terrified screams echo through the tall stalks of corn surrounding us. Meanwhile, the only thing running through my mind is a little voice warning me, you have to get out of here now. We slowly begin to walk through the entrance, and as we round the first corner, a rather disinterested young teenage girl is standing there, chewing bubblegum and texting on her phone. Upon seeing her uniform, I'm guessing that she's one of the maze guides. She informs us that there are different stations throughout the maze that we need to find, and when we do, we will need to use the hole punch at each station to punch our ticket. Everyone has a different shape, that way they'll know if you really found each station or not. If you find them all and make it out of the maze, then you win an unspecified prize. Then she ends her speech with telling us that there are a number of haunted places located throughout the maze, such as a schoolhouse, a brothel, a saloon, a meat shop, and a graveyard. Each station is the size of a barn with a front entrance leading inside, and then an exit that leads back out into the maze. The inside of each one is arranged to look like one of the places that the girl described. I'll save myself the embarrassment and keep most of the details to myself. The only thing I will say is that I'm pretty damn proud of myself. Although it was frightening as hell, I managed to make my way through most of it without having a panic attack. That is, until we make it to the last station in the maze, the meat shop. As we approach the door to step inside, a group of foreboding-looking men wearing pig masks begin to slowly emerge out of the dark cover of the building, and then they race right toward us. Without warning, I hear the chilling, unmistakable revving of chainsaws. We all turn and start to run in opposite directions. I glance behind me as I'm dashing away and see a pigman waving a scythe in the air as he follows me. Terrified, tears begin to pour down my cheeks as I beg for my life. "Please don't," I scream after tripping over my own 2 feet and falling flat on my face. The pigman is standing right above me now, the scythe glistening under the moonlight. Jonas finally finds me and rushes over to help me up. "Leave her alone, asshole." I'm sure he knew that the guy was only trying to scare me, but I think he wanted to feel like a superhero trying to save me, and I definitely appreciated it. The man glares at Jonas for a moment, but he stares right back, not at all intimidated by his beastly-looking nature. Jonas is a big guy too, tall and muscular, and you may not know it just by looking at him, but he's in the army, and he doesn't scare easily. After their little stare down, then the guy just turns around and strolls back toward the meat shop, the scythe dangling from his hand at his side. "Yeah, that's what I thought, jackass," Jonas shouts after him. I slap him in the chest. "Will you stop it? That guy could be some nutcase for all you know." We search the area for our friends, but only seem to find more chainsaw-wielding pigmen no matter which way we go. "Maybe they went inside," Jonas says, pointing back at the meat shop. "We do have to go through there to get our ticket punched." Assuming he's right, we head back toward the entrance. Thankfully, the pigmen are too busy chasing other maze-goers around to try and scare us again. As we walk through the swinging doors, the lights flicker and a disquieting feeling washes over me. I stop abruptly, causing the man that I didn't know had walked in behind us to bump right into me. He apologizes and then walks around Jonas and I. "I think it's fair to say that I'm officially done with corn mazes," I tell Jonas. "Oh, it isn't that bad. And don't say that. You love corn mazes. Apparently just not the haunted ones," he answers with a smile. As we try to find our way out of this place, we come across the butcher shop next. The smell of blood fills the air as my eyes rest on a lineup of pretend corpses stretched out on the floor. Some of them have bags covering their faces, and others don't. I grab Jonas by the hand, and he pulls us through the crowd of people standing around like they're just waiting for something awful to happen. Just as Jonas is about to walk through the exit, he's greeted by a cackling demon clown holding a faceless doll. Even though the clown doesn't say a word, I can just imagine him begging us to come play with him and his creepy little companion. I let go of Jonas's hand, turn around, and charge back into the meat shop. I know that clown is the only thing standing between me and freedom because I can see the last hole punch station right beyond him, but I just can't bring myself to do it. The one thing in the world that I'm afraid of above all else is clowns. Jonas turns around and comes after me. He's aware of my fear, and I expect him to try and comfort me, but instead he says, "We really don't have a choice. That's the way out, and it'd be stupid to go all the way back through the entire maze just because of a clown. Come on, I'll be with you the entire time. I know you can do it." "No, I can't," I tell him, but he grabs a hold of my hand anyway and drags me toward the doorway. Suddenly my heart nearly stops when I hear the sound of a chainsaw again. Then the maze-goers begin to disperse in a frenzy, and panicked screams fill the air. Through the butcher shop doors comes the same crazed man in the pig mask who chased me earlier. And he's not alone. He's got one of his friends with him. He reaches down into the pile of bodies on the butcher room floor, grabs one of them, and lifts them by the throat. I gasp in horror when he removes the white cloth bag from their head, and I realize that the body isn't pretend like I thought. He has my friend Haley. She tries desperately to escape the man's grasp, but he's just too damn strong. His one hand remains around her neck as he raises the scythe to her throat with the other. Jonas takes a step toward them, but when the man sees him coming, he presses the scythe against her throat and calmly begins to slice. Blood spurts in every direction, and I let out a blood-curdling scream. I thought all of this had been a joke, just them trying to scare us. Jonas freezes and then turns toward me and tells me to run, but when I glance behind me and see the same demented clown still waiting there at the exit, motioning for me to come closer, I shake my head no as tears stream from my eyes. Jonas turns his focus back to the pigman and Haley, whose lifeless body is now sliding to the ground. The man raises the scythe to his lips, sticks out his tongue, and licks the blood from it in one clean swipe. Then he just turns around and walks out of there. My heart is pounding out of my chest. I stand there frozen in fear while Jonas races over to Haley and checks for a pulse. A moment later, he glances back at me and shakes his head solemnly. When we hear the pigman talking to someone outside, Jonas jumps into survival mode. He takes my hand and pulls me toward the exit where the clown is still standing menacingly in the doorway. Then Jonas pauses and the clown teasingly summons him forward. Then a second later, he turns to me and whispers, "I'm going to tackle him, and the second that I do, you run through." "No, don't be stupid. They're going to kill us." "Don't worry. I checked him out. He doesn't have any weapons," Jonas assures me. Then he charges forward and tackles him to the ground before I can protest any longer. He starts pounding the clown in the jaw with so much force that his mouth fills with blood. The next time Jonas raises his fist, I can see that his knuckles are covered in blood, but I don't know if it's his or the clown's. Then he grasps the clown's head in his hands and begins to repeatedly bang it against the gravel beneath them. From the beating that he's getting, I'd expect the clown to be unconscious by now, but he just keeps laughing as he gets his ass handed to him. I start to back up, trying to distance myself from them so that when Jonas is done whooping his ass, then I'll have a head start on getting the hell out of here. When out of nowhere, the pigman appears and plunges the scythe into Jonas's side. He shouts at me to run, and since he's now struggling with both of them, I leap over the three of them and race out the exit on the other side, expecting to be at the end of the maze. But all I can see all around me, in whichever direction that I turn, are the tall stalks of corn. So I begin to run down the dirt path and end up bumping right into Elijah and Roxanne. I can't talk because I'm out of breath, so Roxanne blurts out, "What in the hell is going on? I don't think these people are actors. They're really killing people. The pigmen took Haley, and we just saw someone get their head chopped off." By then, I finally managed to catch my breath and reply, "This shit is real. They just killed Haley right in front of me." "Wait, Haley's dead?" Elijah questions. I nod my head. "Are you sure? Where is she? Maybe you just thought she was." I grab his arm to stop him as he starts to head back in the direction that I just came from. "No, Elijah, don't. I'm positive that she's gone." Then Roxanne asks, "Well, did you try to call the police? And where's Jonas?" I stand there staring at her. I feel pretty foolish. I don't know why I hadn't thought to do that. "Jonas is back at the meat shop. He told me to go find help," I reply. Then Elijah pulls out his phone and says, "She probably couldn't get a signal either. Here, I'll try again now." Roxanne and I take out our phones as well and attempt to call 911, but none of us can get through. "They must be jamming the phone lines or something," Roxanne says. We spend the next half hour walking around looking for the way out, ducking in and out of the corn to hide every time that we see another masked person coming. Just when we're all ready to give up, a booming voice comes over the loudspeaker. "The exit is located at 3 o'clock near the graveyard. Find your way there to get out of the maze. But make sure every shape on your ticket is punched, or you won't get out." Roxanne and I glance at each other. We don't want to go. I don't believe anything that they're saying. They're all psychos. But Elijah insists. What else are we going to do? So after deciding that this is probably the only option, we follow Elijah as he guides us back toward the graveyard. As we're making our way through the maze, Roxanne starts complaining that she's tired, and she keeps getting farther and farther behind us. Then, just as Elijah rounds a corner in the maze, I glance behind us to see where Roxanne is and see a big burly man come out of nowhere, plow into her, and they both disappear into the stalks of corn on the other side of the path. It happened so fast that if I blinked, I think I would have missed it. Her screams flood the air as I shout for Elijah and he comes running over. "Where is she?" I tell him what I saw and he starts to race after her. I call after him, "It's too late, they're already gone. Let's just find a way out of here and then we can finally call the cops and they'll find her." But he pushes his way past me and continues to chase after her. So I follow along behind him and we make our way into the corn. Elijah starts to run, and as I do the same, the tall stalks of corn whip me in the face, momentarily blinding me. When my eyes stop stinging, I catch a glimpse of the man running with Roxanne still slumped over his shoulder. My heart skips a beat when I realize that she's no longer screaming. We follow the man as he enters into a clearing, but Elijah and I remain far enough back that we're still hidden by the corn. The clearing is right in front of the brothel station. The man walks up to 3 other men lurking around in pig masks. I whisper to Elijah, "There are too many of them. They'll kill us if we go out there." He looks me right in the eyes. "I don't care. I love her, and that's my child. I have to at least try to save them. Now run!" My stomach starts to churn, remembering that that was the exact same thing that Jonas last said to me, and now I don't know if he's dead or alive. As I turn to leave, Elijah says one last thing. "Go get the last punch in your ticket, because if you don't find a way out of here and get some help, then we're all going to end up dead." Then he reaches into his jacket and hands me a pocket knife. I slide it into the pocket of my jeans just as I see the man who is carrying Roxanne place her body on the ground and start repeatedly stomping on her stomach. Elijah emerges and starts walking toward the men, and they start walking towards him, laughing. I dart through the corn as fast as my legs will carry me. I have to find the meat shop so that I can punch the last shape on my ticket and get the hell out of here and get help. Now cutting through the stalks of corn instead of following the path through the maze, I find the meat shop rather quickly, and I cautiously make my way inside. When I walk into the butcher room of the meat shop, there is a man standing in there blocking the doorway to the exit. I see the clown that Jonas had been fighting with earlier lying in a dark corner, motionless, but there's no sign of Jonas anywhere. The man takes a step toward me, just as I reach down and grab a meat cleaver that is lodged in one of the bodies lying in a heap on the floor. I lift the cleaver and wave it back and forth at him. My phone slips from my pocket, but I have no time to grab it because he rushes me and manages to grab my hand that was wielding the cleaver and stopped it only an inch from his head. Then with his other hand, he grabs my throat and slams me up against the wall, forcing me to drop the cleaver, but I figured he would do that. During the encounter, he failed to realize that I had taken Elijah's pocket knife from my jeans, and I'm now holding it in my other hand behind my back. I plunge it as deep as I possibly can into his chest so that the only thing left showing is the handle. He immediately collapses to the ground at my feet. I waste no time. I pick up the meat cleaver, dash past him, and race to the other side of the barn. Then I pull my ticket from my jeans and punch it as fast as I can. As soon as the hole punch makes contact with the ticket, a horn blares over the loudspeaker. Then an announcer says, "We have a winner, our very first one of the night. Congratulations, number 107. I glance down at my ticket, and that is indeed the number printed in the corner. Just then, lights cut on, and both sides of the dirt path light up, guiding me out of the maze. The voice comes over the loudspeaker again. "You're free to go, but you only have 60 seconds to follow the path out of the maze. After that, you'll have to start the entire thing over." I shove my ticket back into my pocket and race along the path. I can hear someone running behind me. It seems like they're taunting me, like they're staying far enough back just to scare me, but if I don't make it out of the maze in time, I have no doubt in my mind that they're going to kill me. The announcer begins to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2. My foot barely crosses the threshold, but I make it out of there just in the nick of time before he can say 1. The announcer's voice continues to blare over the loudspeaker. "We have our first escapee of the night. Now there's something for all of you other little mice to look forward to." As soon as the man who was chasing me hears the announcer, he stops and just stands there staring at me for a moment. And then he gives me a thumbs up and says, "Good job, I'll catch you next time." Then he turns around and walks back into the maze, disappearing into the corn stalks. I dash forward toward the wide open field where the cars are parked when a table sitting to my left catches my eye. There is a clear glass bowl sitting on top full of wallets, money, jewelry, car keys, and other personal belongings. The sign attached to the front of the bowl says, Grand prize from all the losers. Take whatever you would like. That's when I hear someone calling my name. And there's no mistaking it. I'd recognize that voice anywhere. It's Jonas. I follow the sound of his voice, which leads me over to the bowl. I dig through it and find that it's coming from a tablet at the very bottom. Once I pick it up, the announcer's voice floods the speaker of the device one last time. Congratulations on winning. I'm a man of my word. You have your grand prize and you can leave. But if you want this bonus prize, you have to make your way back to the front of the maze and punch your new ticket at each of the stations once again. He pauses for a moment to take a look at something, then he turns it around for me to see. It's Jonas's ID. He continues. Then your little boyfriend Jonas will be waiting for you at the graveyard. Good luck. I feel like I'm about to start hyperventilating, but then I wipe the tears from my eyes as anger rises up in me from hearing Jonas scream through the tablet in agony, still telling me to run away. I put the tablet down and take the new ticket that's taped to the back of it, then grip the meat cleaver tightly. As I hear other maze-goers' screams echo throughout the vast field, no doubt being chased by psychos, I make my way back into the stalls. Little do they know that now there's one more killer in the corn maze. Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.